So we did the distillery at Bullet and a couple other distilleries the first time we went to Kentucky, just you and I, Johnny. And then after that, I believe the second time you went to the Bourbon Trail was with your dad. Can you talk a little bit about that experience and kind of how, that progressed?
Yeah. Like so our first trip was like I just kind of dabbled into other things outside of Bullet, like right before we went on our trip. So we had like the Bullet one, but then we went to the Buffalo Trace Distillery and got the Blantons and the E.H. Taylor. And so it was really cool. And then like after our trip, I just started dabbling in things like tasting different things that I was like, wow, there's so many other things that we can have. And I really fell in love with wild turkey. And so me and my dad have really bonded over that brand.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a father and son brand, and it means a lot to us as a family. And so like it just kind of brought us together, brought us closer.
And in turn, he brought me into that family, so like if we're just speaking honestly, Wild Turkey, Jimmy Russell, Eddie Russell, Bruce Russell, that is our go-to brand. That is the Michael Jordan of our bourbon family. Yeah. So like they hold a very special place in our hearts to where they're probably honestly always going to win that number one, so like if I'm saying this is the best today, that's just acknowledging that this is the Jordan, this is the Rodman. You know what I'm saying? So like I love Russell's. Russell's will always be number one. And there really is in my heart no competitor to Jimmy and Eddie Russell. So when I say something else might be my favorite today or my favorite tomorrow, it's not replacing Jimmy Russell. It's just Jimmy Russell and Eddie Russell are so high up there in my tier that nobody's ever really going to compete with them on my palate or in my heart. So yeah. They can always be number one. So I'll say today this is my choice.
Sure.
But in reality, it's always the Russell brothers.
So aside from the taste then and the product that they produce, I mean, what is it, I guess, about Wild Turkey that does it for you guys? Like, what is it that makes them kind of your number one distiller?
I like the heritage for me. For me, I like that it started with Jimmy. Jimmy's passing down that recipe on to Eddie, and Bruce is going to keep it going, so a lot of these companies, including Wild Turkey, have been bought out by parent companies. And most of these parent companies are not American-born parent companies. So, I mean, the only one that's actually left is Heaven Hill.
Yeah.
And what family is that one? I forget, the Shapiro family on that one. But, me not knowing any better, I had no idea that the Russells at the time didn't own Wild Turkey. And then to me, it's a stamp, it's a statement that if these guys Campari are willing to put the Russell's name on a bottle of their product, it shows how much faith they actually put in Jimmy, Eddie, and Bruce.
Yeah. And to me, like as Vin Diesel would say, it's about family.
F is for family.
Yes. I mean, it's
R is for family.
It's just that cool, like lineage that they have where Jimmy has been there. I mean, he's like
111 years old. He's been making bourbon since Christ was a cowboy, my friends.
He is like literally like 90 years old, and he still is involved in making
my bourbon. Dream to meet him. I'm going to Kentucky next week, guys. Cross your fingers. Hopefully I'll be coming back with a Wild Turkey 12-year signed. We'll see.
I mean, just to put this into perspective, Eddie has been the co-master distiller for 30 years. That's how long Jimmy has been the master. Like Jimmy's been the master distiller 30 years before. He's been like the master distiller for like 60 years.
And Jimmy's goal wasn't to make his own profile. Jimmy's goal was to make that original profile consistent. And Johnny probably knows the story better than I, but I want to say it started with a camping trip or a hunting trip, for turkey. And Jimmy had brought in a specific bottle that he had blended. And over time, they kept asking him, hey, did you bring that turkey bottle? Did you bring that turkey bottle?
That turkey
so
bottle.
After the 5th or 6th turkey hunting trip, it just became the brand. It's turkey.
Yeah.
And then now we have Wild Turkey.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Yeah. It's just one of those things that just they care about the lineage, and they care about the family, and they're really passionate about the bourbon being good. every consistent and every time the same quality. And it just reminds me of, it's just a family thing. It makes you feel and be, bourbon isn't about drinking. It's about
Memories.
the memories and the lineage and it's who you share it with.
Yeah. People collect bourbon or drink bourbon for different reasons. Some people are buying these bottles to resell these bottles. Some people are buying these bottles to collect these bottles. On our side of things, we have a couple of different sayings. One of them is moments turn into memories too fast. And another one is, if you're not drinking it today, they're going to be drinking it at your funeral. So these bottles are really meant to bond each other, whether that's as a family or that's as a get together, is to create these special moments and memories for years to come.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, these bottles are not, they're investments. They're not cheap. They're, this YouTube show costs a lot of money. We have to go out and find these bottles, and they are not cheap. And they cost us the money. We don't get the shipments of sample bottles like other people get, where they just get shipped all this stuff and they get to taste it for nothing.
And price point aside, they're not easy to obtain.
No.
You guys think I'm just shitting out Maker's Mark cellar? You got another thing coming. I'm driving to multiple locations day in and day out, hoping to come across a bottle of this nature for a decent price.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you said that, because I did want to make a statement about kind of the bourbon hunt, because I feel like there are two groups of people. Maybe there's more, but I'm going to focus on these two. There's one group that does that drives around to these stores, drives around to different liquor places and collects all these rare bottles for one purpose only, and that's to make money and to resell on the black market.
Yeah.
Then the second group of people drive around to the liquor stores and, different places and create relationships because they like the product. They want to taste the product and they want to appreciate the product. And you guys are in that second group. And I just think in today's day and age, with this bourbon spike, and with, some liquor store owners, I won't name any names, kind of looking at everyone like you're just buying this because you want to sell it for $500 or whatever, that you guys have never been in that group. You're really hunting for the experience, for the taste, to say, oh my God, I really loved this bottle and I want to have another one for later on in life, or, whatever. So I really appreciate that, I think, about both of you, because as a wife of someone who is bourbon obsessed, and half of our dining room, no joke, I'll have to post a picture later, is covered in bourbon bottles. I know it's for a reason and a long-term reason. You know what I mean? And I think that that's important to distinguish, because again, that first group is out there. That first group is there just to try to, make money and resell and all that kind of stuff.
And we appreciate that. It's one of those things where you're absolutely right. People are out there buying bottles, flipping bottles, specifically for the making money aspect of it. Where us, as much as we would love to be influencers, we're a young podcast. We just started off, so we're not there yet. So when you see us cracking these Wild Turkey Master Keeps, these Hardin Creek 17 years, this Maker Mark Cellar Age, this Russell's 13, all of these upper echelon bottles, these were obtained through our pocketbook. These aren't free samples sent to us like some other podcasts. These aren't free bottles sent to us because we're the upper echelon of tasters. This is just our honest opinion and our honest pocketbook, paying to be able to provide this for you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
In terms of Wild Turkey, before we move on to the next question, just for viewers, what would you say, if you can, is your favorite bottle to date in the Wild Turkey family?
So before I answer the favorite bottle, if you're new to bourbon and you don't know the 101 on bourbon, I always suggest starting with Wild Turkey
101.
101. You got it.
Yeah, it's the best. It's the best low price bourbon you can buy. It's only $22 a bottle.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic.
In Kentucky, it's got this stigma of being the college drinkers bourbon. You'll hear a lot of people saying Mountain Dew was invented to drink with Wild Turkey 101. The legal drinking age in Kentucky starts at about 13. But over here, the rest of the states, Wild Turkey 101 is still an excellent sipper. If you are new to the game, you're not quite sure if you want to invest $40 on a bottle, $35 or on a Russell's 10, start with the Turkey 101. I promise you, you're not going to be upset. And if you're not acclimated to neat, Wild Turkey 101 is something that you can mix with ginger ale, like you said.
Yeah.
How Johnny's first go-to was a ginger ale mix. My first go-to was also a ginger ale mix before I started sipping it neat, so to speak.
Yep, bourbon goes really good with ginger ale. I mean, all bourbons go well with ginger ale.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, as far as the turkey family, my favorite bottle of all time is the Wild Turkey Master's Keep 17-year bottled and bond.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That is it's not just my favorite turkey; it's my favorite bottle I've ever had. I've had Pappy's for 23, Pappy 20, Pappy 15. I've tasted them all. I've had a lot of good stuff, and a lot of stuff is really, really good, and it's way up there. But there is something extremely special about the Wild Turkey Master's Keep bottled and bond, and it's hard to put your finger on. Anytime you taste it, it takes your breath away. You're kind of like, "Wow, that's good," and that's just how I put. That's how I have to put it head and shoulders above the rest.
What about you, Mike?
Well, for me, it's going to be a little different only because I don't own the Wild Turkey Bottle and Bond 17. So I've only really tasted it on 2 occasions, and they were quite some time ago. So I tasted it at the New Year's party, and I tasted it at the Festivus for the Rest of Us party, that you guys held. But as far as memory goes and consistency goes, it's going to be the Russell's 13 for me. That's why I was holding up the 1-3. I don't know which way the camera sees it. But I have about 6 or 7 bottles of the Russell's 13 at home. I'll try to find it. And if I can find it, I buy it immediately. And even though I have 6 bottles, I'm always hesitant to crack the next because I just never know when I'm going to find it again. But there's 2 bottles that have this, I don't want to say grape per se, but I feel it in the tonsils, like when you're drinking white grape juice. And that's a Russell's 13 and a Stag Junior. So my 2 favorite bottles, are going to be Russell's 13 and a Stag Junior, for me.
Yeah.
As
I can't believe I'm about to admit this, but I do not like Russell's 13.
Oh, what's funny is I've heard this man told you were going to have Russell's 13 and you didn't like it. Then I heard he tricked you and told you doing something else and you still didn't like it.
Yeah, he blind tested me.
Still didn't like it
every time.
Yeah, he blind tested me several times and without telling me what it was, and every single time I don't know what it. Like I said though, I just think my palate is just not where it is with you guys anymore. I think you guys have far surpassed what I feel like I can handle, but also I appreciate different things about bourbon than you guys do. And I want to talk a little bit about that too.
Part 3 coming at you soon.